Game of Thrones Season 3, Episode 6, The Climb, a.k.a. Chaos, is a ladder.
You've been waiting for this one.
Chaos.
I want to do it another time?
You just want to start at Chaos?
No, we'll get there eventually.
Are you sure? You want, well.
You probably do, but I think settle down, we'll get there, and when we do...
It's just such a great, because it's the dichotomy.
Did you just throw that word in there? Or are you going to explain it?
I just read SAT words, so just want to throw them out there. I'm
going to do that. I'm going to learn like a big word and just drop it every now and then.
Yeah, it's funny when you look at the throne room in the show compared to the book. The book's throne is very ostentatious.
I don't even know what that word means.
Stew? Stew's a big word guy. Today's episode of Nerd Soup is sponsored by Vikings, War of Clans. Now, for all you gamers out there, you are probably familiar with some of the more famous RPG games of the 90s. Games that had you glued to your monitor for hours on end. These games in turn inspired the next generation of RPGs, including Vikings, War of Clans. By downloading Vikings on your iOS or Android device, you can immerse yourself in a world that includes 20 million online players worldwide. The addictive nature of the Vikings world comes from the ever-evolving way the game is played. Your success in live events will depend on your ability to forge alliances with other players and develop new strategies and tactics during the never-ending fight over resources and global dominance. You can either be a master tactician like myself who can successfully lead an army and has the foresight to crush your enemies on the battlefield, or you can be more like Teddy, who I'm guessing is somebody that would start a two-front war without thinking it through. He likes to fancy himself the modern-day Napoleon. You can support our channel Nerd Soup by downloading Vikings for free, only from our links in the description below, and you'll get the special bonus of 200 gold coins and a protective shield. Also, don't forget to look us up and join our Vikings clan under our nickname, Nerd Soup for You. It's a great opening scene between Sam and Gilly, and here we see the dichotomy between book smarts and street smarts. Gilly's a gangster.
She knows about the fires. I'm not buying that Sam doesn't know how to make a fire. I feel like that's all he did at the wall, is make fires for...
Yeah, he did have a lot of training making fires for Maester Aemon.
Yeah.
Well, I can't really fault his logic. That's how I would have done it. More wood, more fire.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
If you look down, like the basic levels... You really break it down,
And then Gilly can't believe that Sam doesn't know how to make a fire, and he tells her, I had servants making my fires. And that's just a lifestyle that she can't even fathom. And it's similar to Ygritte when she gets that look at over the wall at the end of the episode. They just can't imagine having that type of lifestyle.
I mean, in their position, it really is probably hard to imagine. All they know is just, well, especially Gilly. I mean, her life has just been awful. But even Ygritte to an extent, not until Mance really gathered them all together have they known other tribes, another different way of life, instead of just being basically nomads going around trying to survive the dangers of beyond the wall.
And I have to say, the dagger, the look of the dagger, that thing looks beautiful. I kind of want to buy one on Amazon.
Yeah,
a replica.
Yeah, I don't think it does much. It looks into the screen.
Stay tuned. Yeah, but he says it's buried treasure, that he thinks it's 1,000 years old.
Shouts out my boy Darian.
Yeah, Darian, the singer from The Night's Watch.
Who Arya absolutely smokes.
I love that Arya.
Taking the law into her own hands.
Yeah.
Like, a deserter of The Night's Watch, I still got to kill him. It's like, just chill out, Arya.
She swings the knife, so she learned from Ned. That is awesome, though, that Arya just sees a Night's Watch deserter in Braavos and says, you know what, you should have been doing your job. Now I'm going to kill you and steal your boots.
Yeah. Fresh pair of boots, though. I think they were Tim's.
And then we have Sam singing the song for Gilly, and he's not a terrible singer.
He'd be a blast at karaoke.
Yeah. It's a sweet scene, though, between them, because they have such a hard road ahead, and they've had a hard road up until this point. But it's a nice, sweet scene between these two characters, and it's them beginning their relationship. And you made the point a couple of episodes ago about Osha and Mira, when they first meet, that the reason they didn't like each other is because they're so similar. They're like the two dogs that see each other at the park. Or the dog barking at its own reflection.
Yeah, my dog used to do it a lot.
Yeah.
You ever go to a dog park and, the dogs just start going at each other? It's sad.
Oh, yeah, it's an all-out war. I've seen Teddy do that, honestly.
At the dog park?
No, at his own reflection.
Oh, okay.
But it's so petty, this argument that they're having, who's skinning.
pissing contest about who can skin a rabbit faster.
I'll tell you what, I was watching this and I hadn't eaten breakfast yet, and I was so hungry. It's like, damn, those rabbits. You cook them up at some rabbit stew.
Rabbit season.
Yeah. But Osha was quicker.
Yeah, I mean, no denying. If you look back at the tape in time, it really...
No, she was skinning the hell out of those rabbits. But Mira hunted for them.
Yeah, it's great, too, when Osha tells Bran, like, well, she held a knife to me the first time we met. And Bran's like, you know.
Oh, yeah, remember when you did that to me? A crippled boy?
It's like, well, listen, our situation was different.
Yeah, that was completely different.
Let me explain.
But Bran does kind of just take the piss out of both of them and says, listen, we can't be fighting amongst ourselves if we want to reach the wall. This is ridiculous. Just skin your rabbits and shut up.
It's like when you were a little kid and the teacher made you apologize when you were like, I don't know, fighting over a toy. You're sitting there disgruntled, but you have to be nice to them now.
It is another moment, too, that just points to Bran's maturity. That he does have to mature faster than other kids his age because he's on this quest. And then Jojen is having a dream, and in his sleep, he begins to have these seizures. And Mira has to go and comfort him and put the leather strap in his mouth so he doesn't bite his tongue and kill himself. And it's cool to see that this kid with this magical power and the toll that it actually takes on your physical body. And the actual dream is he sees Jon, and I'm thinking this is probably Jon when he first got surrounded by wildlings in Season 2, when Ygritte leads him into the trap, because he can see any moment.
Yeah.
It's probably something from...
It's a good thing he didn't see him now. It's like, oh, he's getting a little chummy with them.
Yeah. Well,
like,
Bran, too,
Jon's
is just...
in a cave with some red-headed wildling.
Doing something with his tongue. Bran is terrified. Rightfully so. It's the first time he's heard from Jon, in a way, or heard that Jon is actually still alive. And at first he's very excited, but then he becomes very concerned. Then we see in the next scene that Jon and Ygritte are preparing to climb the wall, and Bran is not the only terrified Stark, because Jon is... I would be terrified too. I would never be able to do this.
Oh, man. You ever, go rock climbing before?
But just that contrast between Jon and Ygritte, where they're both afraid, but Ygritte, it's almost that she's anxious, because she says that she's been waiting to do this her entire life, to see the world. So she is terrified, but she is almost can't wait to do it.
And they have that nice moment, too, when she's talking about, how her previous lovers didn't treat her as well as Jon did. And she's like,
they didn't do that thing with this.
She's like,
he wasn't good to me the way you're good to me. Or he didn't do that thing you do with your tongue.
Yeah, can we not talk about that here?
Can we not talk about that here?
yo, chill! That's what I'm thinking here.
No, that's
Stop, man.
the counterclockwise swirl.
It's like, nah, man, nah.
That's my secret. Rose Leslie, too, man. She just has this undeniable charisma and charm where if they would have casted a lesser actor, I don't think this relationship works as well, because she's just so good playing off the straight man Jon Snow. It's just, you could tell why Jon Snow fell in love with her. She's like, damn, girl, I think I love you. And then Ygritte tells him that she knows his secret, that Jon Snow is a loyal man, he's a brave man, and that when he came to join the wildlings, he never really left the Night's Watch.
I thought the first time, rewatching it, it's like, oh, does she know now, or she always had that suspicion, or once they actually broke his vows, that's when I guess she might have been like, oh, maybe he really did turn. I had to do my best to convince him. I love this guy, and I kind of want to be with him, so...
I thought that too, when watching it, that I thought the first time that at this point she thought he truly did turn to the wildlings. But I think watching it again to do this review, she knows at this point, because she kind of tells him, you're loyal to me now. So don't think twice about it. And you could see the conflict all over his face. He's not really hiding it, because Jon's not really that great at hiding his emotions. I think he does feel safe with Ygritte in this moment where he can kind of confirm her suspicions. Where yes, I am very conflicted still, always going to be loyal to my vows, but maybe Ygritte, I don't know, because he does betray her later, so...
Yeah.
She is trying to convince him, but it doesn't work.
And I like too Tormund when he shows a bit of his lighter side when he's telling Jon, if you fall, you don't want to scream and that be the last thing she thinks of you. And it's a little...
Yeah. It's a funny jab, but it's also kind of terrifying.
Yeah, but it's that more
the love
lighter...
of your life, the last thing she remembers is, ah! It's like in Annihilation, when the woman gets eaten by the bear, and the last thing you're remembering of her is just those howls, those wails of her dying. And it's terrifying.
Well, yeah, I was thinking more it's like Tormund we know now in later seasons.
No, yeah, it is a lighter Tormund moment. Well, even in this season with his introduction, he's only kind of a hard ass in that very first scene.
Yeah.
He becomes Book Tormund kind of right away, right after that scene. Now, this is something that I wanted to bring up because in this sequence with Arya, where she's shooting her bow and arrow, and she's getting advice from one of the members of the Brotherhood, and he tells her to never aim. And I remember one time I told that to one of my teammates, and the coach was like, what do you mean never aim? How are you supposed to shoot? So I'm glad that they're confirming that you're not supposed to aim. It's your eyes.
Yeah, and guy should have taught your team or coached your team.
Yeah, I should have player coached.
Oh, yeah.
I should have just LeBron'd it. But it's these moments, too, with Arya and the Brotherhood. It just makes me wish that she would have stayed with them, because it seems that she could have been of value to them, and they could have been of value to her, to mold her, to train her, to treat her right. Instead, she gets the Hound. But it's another sweet moment between these characters. But then she sees a not-so-sweet character in the distance, Melisandre.
Ran through hot.
Great scene, too, between Melisandre and Thoros.
Yeah, she's talking about how the first interaction is like, oh, you were supposed to convert Robert to the Seven. It's like, didn't work out too well. It's like, I just joined a bunch of tourneys and lit my sword on fire and stuff.
There's a moment in the books, too, where Thoros said, I once told Robert that I wear red robes so that if I spill wine, nobody can see it. And apparently Robert pissed himself. That's the funniest thing. You know what? This Lord of Light guy, I might give him a shot.
Yeah, that's so bad.
I'm surprised Thoros didn't convert him. I don't think Robert cared.
No, he just wanted a drinking buddy.
And he'd be waking 3 times in the night to piss into a bowl of wine.
I think Robert converted Thoros to being a drunkard fool.
It might have that effect on some people.
But I love that, too, when characters speak in different languages. They're both speaking High Valyrian. And you also get a little bit of backstory on Thoros and his mission in Westeros.
And this is a great interaction between Melisandre and Beric, too. I mean, she's shocked when she finds out how many times he's been brought back.
And the way Beric is staring at her, and he says, forgive me, I haven't seen a woman in a long time. And Thoros is like, lucky for the women. It's a hell of a woman to see for the first time in months.
I think Beric's rocking that, like, grizzled old, like, scarred up. You know, chicks dig scars, right?
That is true.
That's what I heard.
Well, apparently chicks dig resurrections as well, because Melisandre's turned on, not by him, but the fact that he's been dead and came back to life.
She probably must be shook up. It's like, oh, I have to, like, stay with Stannis all this time and roll our sends him to get drunk and hang out, and he's able to resurrect people? It's like, I only got shadow babies. What the hell? And
she confronts him. She says, you shouldn't have this power. And he says, I don't have any power. It's the Lord of Light that brings him back. And Thoros goes into his doubt over the religion of R'hllor and the Lord of Light, and how he never truly believed until he said these words. And the reason that he said the words is not because he believed them, but because he wanted to bring back Beric, because Beric was his friend. All of a sudden, the guy came back to life.
He's probably a strong character. He's a good leader. He's a lord and everything. Imagine the command you must have over your men after you come back to life, after getting killed by the mountain.
Oh, yeah.
They probably think he's the fucking god.
He's a god.
Yeah. And Beric, when she asks what was on the other side, he said nothing, just darkness. And it's kind of like what Jon said.
Nothing. There was nothing at all.
You've been to the other side.
The other side? There is no other side. I have been to the darkness, my lady.
That is scary, man. Melisandre's thinking there's like a fire paradise on the other side of life.
Hell?
Because, well, there's, hell, but good hell. Like Cancun.
Fun hell.
Yeah, L.A.
Ooh, too soon.
Yeah, but that is scary when Beric just says, I've seen the darkness. That's it. I think it would put a damper on anybody's faith if you hear somebody say, yeah, I've died and came back to life, and there ain't nothing on the other side, son. So this is it.
Oof. Well, now I don't want to finish this review.
This is sad, too, that Gendry feels that he's going to be part of the Brotherhood, and he gets stolen away by Melisandre.
Well, it's funny, too, before this, like we just said with Mira and Osha, when they first met, they didn't like each other right away, and then Arya says she doesn't like Melisandre, and Guy's like, yeah, it's because you're a girl.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean?
But she also does have good reason.
Yeah,
her instincts are correct,
yeah.
And I think the men are they just see Melisandre, and they think, yeah, she's okay, she's right by me.
No, yeah, it's good. Just give the kid to her.
Yeah, just give her. You want 2 kids? You can do 3. There's a fat kid we left at the end if you want him too. Makes great bread. Gendry says he confronts the Brotherhood, saying, you guys told me I can be part of your family, that I could be one of you. And Melisandre turns to him and says, they're nothing. You know what you're going to be? You're going to be a sacrifice because you have king's blood.
It's like, but we get to have sex once.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, all right. Later, guys.
Yeah, I'll take that deal. You take that deal? You take that deal, Arya? The way that she confronts Melisandre, too, just no fear. The way she grabs her by the shoulder. And she said that in this scene, Carice Van Houten, that she didn't blink the whole time. So she's got those wide eyes, and she's examining Arya. And she says the famous lines, I see different eyes, and I see a darkness in you, child. Green eyes, blue eyes, brown eyes. Eyes that you'll shut forever. And they kind of take this from the Ghost of Highheart character from the book. When they go and travel to meet the Ghost of Highheart, and they'll sing her the Jenny song, and she'll tell them the visions that she's had. And you get some of the foreshadowing from her visions, things that happened in the past. And she says something similar to Arya. She says, I think, I smell death on you. Be gone, child. I've already suffered enough. And this, of course, foreshadows Arya's future life as a faceless assassin, traveling to Braavos, training with the faceless men. But yeah, it's just a great piece of foreshadowing, and it's a very creepy scene, but great scene. So it's cool how they kind of took that from the book and gave that to Melisandre.
Yeah, it makes sense. And
do you think they'll meet again?
he's shaky on the visions, but maybe in some, I don't know, maybe not
Crossroads
a physical
in.
meeting. Maybe Nymeria just fucking attacks her on the road home.
Well, I'm wondering, too, if Melisandre's even going to be in Season
No,
8.
she will be.
I hope she is.
She has to.
Because I know her role was cut short in Season 7 because she was pregnant. So who knows what she
Shadow
would have
baby?
done. Another shadow. Twins.
Then we go to Jon, and he begins his climb with the wildlings. It's a great-looking scene. Beautiful and, like, terrifying at the same time because
And they
he
were
looks down. You never look down, Jon.
Yeah, you're not supposed to look down.
It's the first, like, rule of height.
Of life, yeah.
Don't
Never
look down.
look down.
Yeah.
And the way they shoot this is cool, too, that they're just kind of on the floor.
Yeah.
And they're just crawling. But yeah, it's just absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
Something that I never would be able to do.
You're staring at me ass, Jon Snow!
And Tormund accidentally chips off part of the wall and almost kills Jon.
Yeah.
He's like, just seeing if you could take a hit, lad. Yeah. Shut up.
Good one.
Yeah. It's dangling on the wall. Great joke, Tormund. You're so funny. Tormund, I'm funny on the wall. But the way that this scene opens, too, with Ramsay and his horn, always has me hysterical laughing. And he's like, oh, sorry.
It's a piece of work. He pours out the water in front of him.
His dead homies. Drink before Theon.
Probably been a lot of dead reeks in that room.
Oh, yeah, this is not reek number 1. This is probably reek number 17. And he's mocking him, too. When you last asked a couple of episodes ago, do you think Ramsay actually cared about what Theon was saying? And he says, your daddy was mean to you? The Starks never appreciated you?
God, you don't have to be a dick about it, dude.
Yeah, but you hate Theon. And he's kind of right here. It's a man up.
I mean, you know.
Even though I don't support what he's doing to him, he's torturing him to death, or to near death. He's kind of right. Grow a pair.
What do you want him to do?
So I can take it off.
Oh.
How bad is this torture, though?
It's brutal to watch. When he's digging in the finger, oh my God, dude. Yo, when he peels it fucking out of the bone, out of the skin, like a fucking...
And the way Theon just screams for him to cut off the finger. Cut it off, trembling, shaking.
I like how he does his, like, he pretends to be like a car slug. It's like, oh, you're right.
You're right. I'm like...
Has Theon never seen the fucking banner of the Boltons before? That's literally that contraption, the X.
Yeah, Theon he's not the smartest guy. Maybe it was different in the book, too, because they never show the torture scenes, but
yeah.
You would think that, yeah, that's kind of a plot hole. But just Ramsay, the perfect psychopath, where he's playing this game with Theon. Theon thinks he gets the upper hand, and he has one of the most iconic lines of the show, where he says, if I win, will you let me free? And he says,
If I win, he'll let me go.
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.
just kind of summarizes the show.
Do I look like a fucking Umber? I don't know.
Bitch, you might. But yeah, no happy endings in Season 3.
Well, no. I mean, here we have Robb meeting with the Freys.
Oh, right, yeah. This is a solid meeting between allies.
And the Freys come with their conditions for Robb. He has to apologize. They want Harrenhal because,
of course,
why not?
And Robb's like, sure, you can have it.
Who has Harrenhal right now?
Just a list. Bring me a list of who has Harrenhal.
And
you're next. You're on the queue.
There's a wait list.
There's a wait list for Harrenhal.
And they want Edmure to marry a Frey. You know, he's not too happy about it. He's like, well, can I see him first? Obviously, Robb needs it and everything, but he kind of made his own bed. And for Edmure, it's like, well, I have to spend the rest of my life with this woman. I at least want to, meet her. Yeah,
Very superficial.
Well,
And Myr's a superficial guy. But they both kind of made mistakes where Robb says, oh, you wanted to make up for your mistakes at the stone mill. And then Robb even admits, you're paying for my sins, uncle. I'll never forget this for the next couple of weeks.
Well, he is great in this scene. I feel like he is sympathetic and he does realize the sacrifice that he made. And it's war and this is what he needs and it has to be done.
Yeah. I love that line, too, when he calls Walder Frey an old ferret.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah, not wrong.
Looks like a ferret.
You think they overheard that and that's what caused the Red Wedding? Like they're outside. It's like, you just called Dad an old ferret?
That's too far.
I'm gonna
We're going to have to murder him. Is that wife pregnant? Yeah, we're going to murder her too. The wheels keep spinning for this plan where you can see all the little moments and conversations of why the Red Wedding is going to happen. And in this conversation between Jaime, Brienne, and Roose Bolton, it's Roose Bolton kind of feeling out Jaime. And he's not fully committed at this point, I think, to siding with the Lannisters, but I think he's trying to negotiate. Roose is feeling out all his options. Should I kill Jaime? Should I send him north? And Jaime says, listen, if Tywin Lannister finds out that you had me, because it looks like the Lannisters are going to win the war, it's not going to be over when the Starks are defeated. We're going to come back for you guys. You guys are going to pay for what you did. And the condition is that Jaime can go to King's Landing as long as he tells his father that Roose had nothing to do with his maiming, the chopping off of the hand. Just want to point out Brienne in that dress. Ridiculous.
It's like when it opens up, it's like, oh, I'm glad we found suitable clothes for you, my lady. She's like, oh, thank you.
And Roose, one of the conditions is that Brienne is going to die. She's going to be killed for treason. It's just so funny how the laws of Westeros are just up for interpretation. The law is the law until it isn't. Where one character like Catelyn commits treason, but she's still basically allowed to roam free because she's Robb's mother. But if somebody like Brienne does it, who everybody kind of hates Brienne because they're intimidated by her, a woman warrior, she commits treason, we're going to throw her in a bear pit.
Yeah, well.
And we talked about in our last review how when you put a Tyrell and a Lannister in a scene, it's just electric. And so far, Olenna has just been going through all of the lesser Lannisters. Cersei owned her, Tyrion owned her. I'm sure she found a way to own Jaime, just sent him a raven. Said, your hand got chopped off.
It's like the Mortal Kombat thing when you start at the lower thing and you keep making your way up and it's finally Tywin.
It's the final boss. And it's just a great interaction. The two heads of the two most powerful families in the country. And Olenna just wants nothing to do with Loras marrying Cersei because it's just a bad deal all around for House Tyrell.
Obviously, they both know about Loras. They go back and forth on that. And she starts talking about, well, in Highgarden, we don't look at it the way other people might. Brings up, it's like, oh, you never had a little squire friends or cousins or anything? And you guys never fooled around
experimented. And he says, no. Why? What do you know?
And then what did Kevin tell you? Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, it runs in the family.
Yeah, and she
claps right back at him and says, well, where I'm from, brother and sister, it's truly unnatural. That's a stain that's hard to get out. To go back a little bit, when Olenna's objection to the marriage is because Cersei is old, and she feels that she's not going to be able to have children, and Loras is the most desired bachelor in all of the kingdoms. She says, Cersei is old, I'm something of an expert on the subject. Just so many great quips.
And Tywin, he comes right back and says he would name Loras to the Kingsguard, and obviously him being the only Tyrell heir in the show, he would give up all claims to his name, his titles, and won't be allowed to marry.
And he knows that Loras is going to follow through on his vows, that he's actually going to commit.
Yeah, and it basically, kills their house.
And it's kind of what Jaime did to Tywin.
Yeah.
And that's something that Olenna just cannot have. And she breaks the pen and says, listen, okay, we'll do the marriage.
Yeah, because it's different in Cersei, because they had 3 kids. There was, I think she was supposed to be married to Willis, and Loras actually joins the Kingsguard on his own accord in the books.
Yeah, they kind of...
I think Littlefinger set that up too. I think it's implied that he planted the seeds when he went to Highgarden for Loras to join the Kingsguard for some reason.
I think
he's playing so many different hands.
He's the best. I think that's a little nitpick that I have with the show, is the fact that there are only 2 Tyrell kids. Because family is so important in the show, you want to have as many kids as you can, especially sons. So it wouldn't make sense that Loras and Marjorie's parents only would have 2 kids and then just kind of stop.
They should have kept Willis. I mean, you can
keep...
kind of combine Garland and Loras, and it's just adds different obstacles they have to go through as the showrunners to just plan out all these marriages and schemes and plots, considering that they've limited so many families and houses to combining characters.
And Diana Rigg, I just want to say, she is just one of the best actresses on this show. When Tywin says, I don't care what people think, and neither do you, and she has that little smirk, and she denies the wine and says,
I don't care what people believe, and neither do you.
As an authority on myself, I must disagree.
She's so good in these. She was a Bond girl?
Yeah.
I just watched that movie the other day. Terrible. But she was good in it. And now in this sequence, we go back to the climb. The climb is continuing. And this is where it gets really rough. Because Ortal just tries to murder Jon and Ygritte.
Well, to be fair, not a big Ortal guy, but...
You're also not a hero,
What do you mean?
You're justifying cutting the rope.
Well, you gotta... That's part of the plan. They knew the rules going up.
The rules?
Yeah, the rules of engagement, of wall climbing. You can't sacrifice the whole group just because you slipped up a little.
So if that's Robb Stark on there, you think he's cutting Jon free?
Well, Robb will probably pull him up with one hand and save the day because he's just a badass. Ortal doesn't have that capability. Well, it ends up okay because he finally clamps on, and obviously, you know, he's a dick, so we want Jon to do it. But if you're looking at it from an objective point of view, not knowing the characters and the situation they're in, maybe cut him loose a little.
Well, yeah, that's what Jon should have done too, right? When he caught Ygritte, just cut Ygritte loose.
Sorry.
Yeah, you knew the rules coming up. But it is a tense scene because at this point in the show, anybody can die at any time. So when I first watched this, I thought, oh, Ygritte might fall to her death here.
John, what about that save?
That is a good grab.
I'm like a young Rick DiPietro.
That's a Tyree.
Eli Manning stays on his feet, airs it out down the field. It is caught by Tyree.
And it's amazing how good the wall looks, and we always talk about it, blurring the line between TV and movies, and Game of Thrones is at the forefront. The fact that they went out of their way to build this practical set, this wall, this rock-climbing wall, and to shoot it with fake snow, and they have all the equipment, and they're really just climbing this fucking wall. It's amazing. And it looks incredible with the special effects that are added after the fact. And the way that this scene is just set up between Loras and Sansa, it's a beautiful looking scene. The garden, it's very elegant, and even Sansa says during their conversation, I feel like I'm in a dream. And at first you can tell that Loras has no desire to be there.
Yeah.
He's talking about, oh, I love weddings, the decorations, the food,
the
bride.
Yeah.
The bride, yeah.
Nice
She's
dress
important too.
French sleeves. I actually remember, I don't know why, but you know, like early Game of Thrones around this time, you know, the book purist who hated everything in this show. Someone like thought he said French sleeves and freaked out on the internet and started going crazy.
I thought he said French sleeves.
They have no idea what they're talking. Like they don't even know what Westeros is. They think
those are the worst people in the world.
Put on subtitles. And even if he did, who gives a shit? But anyway, this scene, it's kind of sad though to see Sansa so enthused, only for it to all go away again.
Yeah, at this point, I'm kind of numb to it. Oh my God, Sansa thinks that she's gonna have the storybook life, and then she doesn't.
It's like everyone knows besides Sansa, the audience, like
even Loras, Cersei, and Tyrion in the background.
Oh my God, this is so fucking funny when it pans to them, and Tyrion's like, anything we could do about this? And Cersei's like, we can have them both killed.
Yeah, typical Cersei. And Tyrion here is still trying to figure out if Cersei tried to have him killed, and he deduces that it was Joffrey, because he says only 2 people could have given Sir Mandon the command, and Cersei just kind of doesn't say anything. He's like, well, of course it's Joffrey.
Well, it was Littlefinger, but...
But from Tyrion's perspective.
Yeah, it's just good to see these two back together in a scene.
I love the scenes, too, where they're just not going at each other's necks, when they're talking like they're actually brother and sister. And Cersei even admits in this scene that Tyrion saved the family with his little trick.
Yeah, just give him a pat in the back. That's all he wants.
This is a great example, too, in this next scene, that something happening off-screen. It's not something that we need to see, but it comes back later in the episode when we see Sansa crying, looking at Littlefinger's ship. But when Tyrion goes to tell Sansa the bad news, it's really bad for both of them. And Tyrion tries to get Shae out of the room, so sometimes we hear something and we wish we would have heard it under different circumstances.
Her facial expression in the background, she's like trying to mean mug him. Just chill out.
And even in this scene, Sansa is still fantasizing about her wedding and that the dressmakers at Highgarden are going to be so much better than the dressmakers in King's Landing. And Shae's like, yeah, probably. Whatever. Shae's pretty funny in this scene.
Yeah.
There's goes that Sansa again.
Even Shae probably knows it at this point.
Yeah.
It's like, nothing really works out for you, huh?
There's no hope for this kid. Just watching this scene, too, it's so awkward. Tyrion having to tell Sansa about their marriage. And it even goes back to last episode where Tyrion tells Tywin, I had a wife. So you're setting me up with somebody who you say is the best match I could ever hope for, but I already had someone I loved, Tysha. And it goes back to the books as well, because Tywin, throughout Tyrion's life, was always trying to match him up with different noble ladies from the different houses, and he was always denied, and he considered it a slight against his house, and I think that contributed to to his hatred towards Tyrion. And here it feels like Tyrion's almost embarrassed because he's been told his whole life he's not good enough to be married to a noble woman. And he knows how a 15, 16-year-old girl is going to react to having to be married to a 38-year-old middle-aged man. So it's just very awkward to watch. And the scene we've all been waiting for since Season 1, Episode 1 of The Revisited. I don't even know what to say about this scene. Just the first, I just want to just repeat everything they say. Like, should we just act it out? 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies. There aren't 1,000 blades. I've counted them.
Yeah, of course you have.
Yeah.
But yeah, little
the Lysa Arryn of chess.
That is a good line.
It is a good metaphor because it's
obviously
ugly but desirable.
The other ones,
what it means.
There are other interactions we were trying to see who won. This is 10-8 Littlefinger. Varys is fucking. He's gassed. Yeah. He knocked him down a couple times.
This is bad.
He survived the round, but Littlefinger's just fucking piecing him up.
This was Mayweather-McGregor. Like, you don't belong here. I'll keep you in the fight for ratings, but then I'm going to murder you at the end.
But he's talking, in the beginning, how that he tells him that he thwarted his Sansa plans.
Yeah, and he has every right to be cocky in this scene. Varys tried to get a step ahead of him, but Littlefinger was too quick. And then they have their philosophical tennis match concerning the fabrics of Westerosi society, how that life is essentially meaningless when you strip away all these illusions, as Littlefinger calls them, these institutions, these symbols, these houses, highborn, lowborn, bastard, prince, historical figures that are turned into legends. Aegon the Conqueror, it's just all bullshit. They talk about the 1,000 blades that were taken from Aegon's enemies and melted into the Iron Throne by Balerion the Black Dread, and Littlefinger says it's bullshit because he's actually counted the blades. It's just a made-up story. But in the book, it's probably real because the throne is just ginormous. But it's a clever way that D&D, they use the throne that they had to use in the show because you can't have that book throne. It's just not practical. And they use that, the story of Aegon's enemies' blades, and they use that to craft this scene. All these societal structures are basically put in place to keep people in check, to maintain order. And Littlefinger explains very eloquently, the writing in this scene is just top-notch. He explains how fragile these structures are and how easy it is to bring them down because they are lies, they are illusions. And when these illusions are thwarted, it's madness, it's chaos. People can't function without civilized society. And it's not even that you bring down these structures, it's just a crack in them. That's what Littlefinger is doing. He's cracking them, he's putting in dents. And Varys is not stupid. He understands what Littlefinger tries to do, but Varys is fighting to keep these structures standing in the show, compared to his book counterpart, because we're still not sure. But Varys in the show, he wants to strengthen these structures, while Littlefinger is trying to weaken them in order to strengthen his own position. And rest in peace to Roz, she tried to climb the ladder, she tried to get into the game between Varys and Littlefinger, and it failed her. Littlefinger snuffed her out. But, it's a character that's been with us since Season 1, Episode 1, so good performance. Solid character, an improvement over her counterpart in the book. So,
and then you see Varys. He's still clamoring to the point that he's did what he did for the good of the realm, what he did for Sansa, and it also speaks to just Littlefinger's maneuvering, where just how he sets it up. You see his ship sail away with Sansa crying, and she missed her opportunity to go, but he was able to thwart Varys' plans and maneuver it again to benefit himself in another way. Because if he leaves at Sansa, too, it causes internal chaos within the realm, the capital, because everyone's trying to point fingers now. They don't know where Sansa is. They have Tyrell and Lannister at his neck. And then he's able to thwart Varys' plans when they plan to marry her to Loras, and then he adjusts again.
Yeah.
And just all planned to create chaos, and he embodies basically that sentiment over in this speech again, and he considers it a ladder to climb up to the top. Because where Varys says it's a pit and destroys, he said it before, Littlefinger would burn the whole realm to be the king of ashes. He sees it as a stepping stone, and everything is to benefit him.
And it is controlled chaos, where it's...
it's not chaos in the sense of he doesn't know what's going on. He knows what's going on, and he knows how to manipulate people and cause chaos, but at the same time use that for his own advantage to know where he's going to be at the end.
Yeah, and he says that to Varys, that the only thing that's truly real is the ladder and the climb, and that most people are too afraid to even attempt it, and that some do and they fall, and shows Roz, but that final cut.
Only the ladder is real. The climb is all there is.
And this moment is just incredible. It's a brilliant edit, brilliant dialogue, Littlefinger finishing his monologue, and we see Ygritte reaching over the wall, finishing her climb with the wildlings, who are trying to figuratively break down some societal structures and walls, and I think that's why you can say these are 3 10 out of 10 episodes in a row. Unbelievable. I mean, D&D, give them credit for the writing, because this is not in the books. There are no scenes in the books between Varys and Littlefinger, and I think to me this is, you can make the argument that this is the best written scene between two characters. Once again, the storytelling through silence with Jon and Ygritte, where not a word is said, but everything is seen through their emotions and their facial expressions, the wonder, the awe that Ygritte has looking at the world on top of the wall. It's just an incredible ending to this episode.
Combine great writing and great performances with the Littlefinger and Varys scene, and then he just goes right back to the cinematography of Game of Thrones like you were talking about before. It's a beautiful shot on the wall. It shows the two sides where just the dark and the snowy and blizzard atmosphere of Beyond the Wall. Then it turns to Westeros. It's a little more brighter. There's green to be seen, and there's hope there.
And someone once told me the grass is much greener.
Great song.
On the other side.
And
I think you can make a case that Conleth Hill and Aidan Gillen are the two best castings that they've ever done. Because when I read the book, there are certain characters where I see them differently.
Mm-hmm.
That's Varys and that's Littlefinger. Even when you look at the drawings that they've done before Game of Thrones came out, amazing casting. And the way that they play these characters, too, it's, you can make the argument that they're the two best actors on the show.
Yeah, and, you know, hopefully we get a... Oh, no, hold on.
Hopefully we get an encounter in Season 8.
I was gonna say,
Littlefinger's dead, right?
I was going to say
Have you read the comments on our Varys versus Littlefinger video?
Littlefinger's still fucking better. But yeah, like you said, it's the last time we see them together, and I was always hoping when we were doing our Season 8 previews, our Season 7 previews, that we would get one more interaction between these two, just seeing where they are now from where they left off, and sadly we never get that. Unless you believe that Littlefinger is still alive, which is a theory going around the old internets.
Yeah, Littlefinger and Loki. Both still alive. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video, and before we go, I want to quickly thank our Patreon supporters. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to grow and evolve as a channel, so thank you for your generous pledges. If you are interested in supporting our channel through Patreon, visit www.patreon.com/nerdsoup, and you can see the different rewards we offer to our Patreon supporters. T-shirts, mugs, stickers, access to our behind-the-scenes video, and more. Thanks again for watching this video, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Or dislike, don't share, and unsubscribe. It's a binary world, folks.